Hello, say can you see my beautiful flag? I have been so busy the last couple of weeks with personal things and with different weather. I'm not going to give you a bunch of excuses, but I haven't been doing my channel and I know that, and I wish to tell you that I'll be doing better in the future, okay? But here is the project that you'll be watching me put together, and it's really fun, and I suggest you give it a try. Hello there. Welcome back to Under My Needle Quilting Studio. I am Laurel, and I've been quilting for a long time, and I'm inviting you to share some of my experiences today in my quilting room. So here we go. We started this quilt. It's a flag, obviously, and the next step in this was to decide on how I was going to finish it all the way around. At first I thought I wanted to finish this by putting a chenille edge on it, and I experimented with a couple of edges just to see if I was going to like those. And if you notice, I'll put this up here so you can see what it will be like. This would have been the edge on that. And even though I think that's really cute, it isn't the look that I wanted on my quilt. I love chenille it. I wanted to use it as the final product, but I think I want the finish to be a very plain finish, and the only chenille that I'm going to use is going to be here on these stripes. I also tried this finish, which was 3 stripes, which would have been a wider finish like this, and I didn't like that either. It has nothing to do with the product. It has everything to do with the way I want this to look. I only want a little bit of embellishment on this flag. I'm going to quilt in here, and I'm probably going to quilt a meander of stars. And then I'm either going to bind this or face this quilt so that it will be completed. So my experimentation was a fun experience, but it didn't turn out to be what I really wanted it to be for this quilt. If you're interested in using the chenille, which is a fun thing to do, I'm going to show you how to do that. I jotted down some notes for myself on how I wanted my experiment to go with my flag panel. I wanted to try a couple of methods to do with chenilling and things that I had never done before. And so I wrote down the ways that I wanted to do them. I also wrote what order I wanted to do them over here, and the amount of strips I wrote right here of what I was going to do. And then I tried to draw a little picture here to show what I meant by that, so that when I was thinking of it, I could actually put it onto cloth and do that. So this is going to be example 1 of my experiment with the chenille, and this is going to be an example of example 2 of what I intend to do with my chenille. So let me show you what I've got here, and I'll try to explain it as I go along, and then I'm going to take it and put it together and actually sew it and see which I like the best. Or if I don't like either of these ways, then I'm going to have to come up with another way to finish my flag quilt. And I wrote down some ways that I thought might work. Probably binding it would look okay. I'm not excited about that idea, but it could work. The other one would be to just take some fabric and turn it forward to the front and sew it down. And then I could do, I guess, a facing. Those are 3 ways of finishing the quilt, but I wanted it to have some of that chenille on it to finish it. So let's see how these turn out and how they look. Here's my example of what I'm talking about. These are going to be my chenille samples. And the first example that I have, and I've labeled it number 1 so that it'll go along with my notes that I've taken. I've taken 2 strips of the chenille stripping, okay? There's one on top of the other, and I've cut those to pretty much the same length. I drew a line here. I also labeled that this had to be red, and that's going to go in this order. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to have red, white, and blue. Each of these strips has, each of these lines has 2 different strips of the chenille on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the bottom layer to the fabric, and then I'm just probably going to clip or use a sewer's tape to go ahead and keep these down so that they stay together. But I will do just what I did for the rest of the flag. I will sew straight down that center, and then I will brush and make the chenille from there. On this example right here, this will be a little bit thicker, and so you'll see that I have 3 strips of the chenille, multicolored. I started with the bottom being the blue, then I put a white on top, and then I put a red. I will glue these down. At least the bottom one I will glue down, and the others I will secure with tape or with glue. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to experiment with that. But I will sew those 3 together right down the center and see what a fluffy experience or look that gives me. So I've listed that right here. I've got it that I want there to be red on top, white in the middle, and blue on the bottom. And I did that because I wanted the darkest color on the bottom so that it wouldn't overpower the other colors. So my next step is to go to my sewing machine. Actually, my next step is to secure these down and then go to my sewing machine and do a little bit of sewing right down the center. And I will be using my walking foot to do that. And I think I will be using white thread because there is white in here. And we'll see how that looks. And if I don't like it, then I'll just do another sample and play with it. Chenille strips look like. And as I thought about it, I thought, I don't want to get off that center point when I'm sewing. Usually my walking foot is good, but sometimes it'll get just a teeny bit off, and then you'll have a sample that's a little skiwampus. So I pulled out this chalk marker, and this is a great little thing to have if you're wanting something that's going to go away, and for sure go away. And so this is what it looks like. This is called Madam Sew, and it's a chalk marker. I forget where I got it, but I can tell you one thing, I sure love it. I have used it a lot. So what I did is, this has got a tip, and the tip right here, it dispenses white chalk. I think you can get it in different colors, but I wanted it in white. So this dispenses just a little bit of chalk. So what I did is I took a very, very thin ruler, and as close as I could to that center line, I took this ruler and I placed it there, and then I used that to just draw myself a line that I know that I need to stay as close to as possible when I'm sewing. I hope you can see that line. Maybe you'll be able to see it just a little bit better on the blue. So I'll make that over here on the blue. I didn't make it extremely thick, but I did make it so that that lets me know, hey, stay on the row, right where you're supposed to stay. So I'm now ready to go to my sewing machine, and I'm excited to see how these samples turn out. Here I have the samples that I did for my experiment with chenille, and without doing the complete strip, I can tell you already the things that I like about each one of them. Okay, if I look at strip number 1, the example number 1, I like those 3 colors. I like the way they look. I'm not sure I like the thickness of the chenille. I may want one more layer on top of that. And the reason I say that is, when I look at the other example over here, I'm not totally sure that I like the red, white, and blue like that, but I do like the thickness of the chenille and how it fluffs up together. I like, this is a fuller chenille. This is not as full, and I'm just not sure. I'm going to play with it just a little bit more, but I do like the three different strips, or the 3 different layers. Let me show you what I have used. This is the tool, one of the tools that I use to brush this, and you brush it just like you're brushing someone's hair, but you brush it kind of from the bottom. Here you've got 2 sides. You've got a side over here, and then you've got a side over here, and there's your center line that we sewed down the center with. But you brush up like this, because what you're doing is you are separating the threads of that fine fiber, and you're getting them to fluff up. But they won't come off because they're secured by that center stitch. That looks good. I do like that now. Okay, this, to get it looking really good, this one right here, to get it looking really good, the one that's got 3, you've really got to brush up from that bottom. See, you don't see that blue unless you really, really brush up from the bottom to get it. So that's one thing I'm not sure I like, because I do want the blue in there. The only thing I can think of is maybe that instead of putting these on top of each other, that I would layer them just a little bit off, so that when they got fluffed up, they'd be more, the colors would be just a little bit more distinct. But that blue is not coming through. The red is very dominant, and I'm just not sure that's going to make me happy. I want the red, the white, and the blue to show. See, the blue's coming up good now, but then when I go like this, you know, it just kind of disappears. So I've got these 2 different brushes that I use. These are kind of hard bristles. Okay, I use this one too, and it's about the same as far as the bristles go. But they're both good. And then I've got a nail file, and you can play with it just a little bit and, you know, fluff it up there. What I am going to do is, once I get these done, I'm going to just wet this and throw this in the washing machine, let it wash, and then I'm going to let it dry and fluff it out and see if that makes any difference to it, because they say if you don't know, to give that a try. So I am going to do that also. Look what I've got for you today. I've got a finished product. Here's my flag that I've made, and it's all completed, and I love it more than I knew I was going to love it. It is so cute. Let me just review with you what I did so that you'll know everything that's been done. I quilted this area on my long arm quilting machine, the blue area. I quilted that with my long arm machine because it was easier to do that way than it was on my sewing machine. Plus I could get a really cute star pantograph that I loved. So that was finished. I completely did all of my little chenille pieces, and they're all fluffy and cute, and I threw it in the washing machine in the dryer to make it even fluffier, and it just really turned out cute. On the binding that I did for this, I decided to do a binding by machine, and so I attached the binding to the back, sewed it on, turned it to the front, and then stitched it down with the machine using my walking foot and a straight stitch. I did one thing that's a little bit of a surprise on this that I had not mentioned that I was going to do, but as I was looking through this fabric, it kept popping up, "Oh, say, can you see?" That is, of course, the beginning line to our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see? What can they see? They can see that the flag is still there. They can see that our nation is still together. They can see that regardless of war and tribulation, we still have a country called the United States of America. And so, as we go into our 250th birthday, I wanted to celebrate that also. And so on the back of my quilt, I have hand embroidered in, "Oh, say, can you see? Can you see a country that still has its problems? Yes. Can you see a country that still has turmoil and dissension? Yes. But our flag is still there, and we still are a united country." I'm going to sign this with my name and the date and put "Happy Birthday, USA 250 years. And then I'll be passing this down to a family member who will be here in the next 50 years. But this is the quilt that I love, and the quilt, one of the things that I'll do to celebrate our country's birthday. I hope you enjoy it. I also hope that you will continue to watch me, that you will join in and do some of the activities that we suggest, and that you'll always do a thumbs up. And if you get a chance, subscribe to our channel and support us. Thanks. Appreciate all of you so much.